We're live.
Some reverb. I like that.
Toddy, God Almighty, this is the Triple Option Podcast coming to you from Cigar City Studio in the Tocobaga Consulting Office. I'm your host, Law Smith, sitting here with me, the girthiest of girth hosts. Let's give it up over there. If you're watching on Facebook Live, yeah, I jumped over there. Number 4 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts. Give it up for Chad Sweeting.
Yes, sir.
And you know him as the girthy power attorney in the streets, but a freak in the sheets. Let's give it up
He doesn't know
for Mr. I read it on Craigslist. Give it up for Mr. Steve Confetti Fantetti.
Free Mello. He's going to OKC. I love it. All right, I'm back.
All right, we're going Facebook Live, but one of y'all can tell me if we're going okay, because it's
we're good to go.
My screen, my playback screen here is frozen. So
Mine's showing excellentness.
okay, just keep it rolling. Let me know if we freeze up. If you're watching live, we're trying to do this for the dad bods out there. Yeah, you
There you
can.
go. I'll make sure you're good to go.
Thanks for that,
You're
Steve.
welcome.
But is it changing? Is it automatically changing faces? Okay, good. Look, if you're
Great
watching on
group, changing
Facebook Live, we're
faces.
trying to do this. Look, we'll be up front. We want to do this as a show, and we want it to get bought up by Facebook, who's buying content, or by Amazon, or any of that. So we want our fans to be along for the ride. Last week we had about 4,000 views on this Facebook Live, and my idea was, or all of our idea was like, let's do it early Sunday mornings. It's hard for us to get hot takes because Chad likes to do a lot of drugs late at night. I mean,
That's no secret.
as a Florida fan, you have to.
Yeah.
And then, it's one of those things that I think for the dad bods out there, Sunday morning at 10, ESPN's already wiped away all the college highlights.
Correct.
And they're
NFL,
already
everything.
it's like a X that just already got a rebound guy, right after you got dumped. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Right.
Cool
All right,
story, bro.
Look, I got to rant about game day in New York.
Oh, yeah,
real
that was a
quick.
big deal this week.
Yeah.
Real quick, I got to do that. But first, we're sponsored. We're a big deal,
We
man.
Yeah.
Another one. Keep them coming. Keep them
Keep them
coming.
coming, man. We're sponsored by Grasshopper.
Pizza Hut, we're ready. Sorry, go ahead.
Whoa. Why would you say like the worst brand of pizza? Just jump in.
That's debatable.
Papa John's is the worst, by the
Actually.
way. I think Papa
All right,
John's
big
is the
three.
worst.
Let's do this debate right now. Big three.
Real quick, 1 minute.
I've
right.
had this debate with everybody.
Number 1, the slice spot in Ybor.
No.
Big three worst
We got
or big three
people
best?
outside of this area. We got people outside of Florida. I've been throwing
Okay.
ads out to people in the Southeast that like college football.
Nice.
I want that kind of fan. I want the dad bod fan. I want the guy who's got a little paunch.
So what you're saying is
He's
you're
a little miserable
You,
at
you
home.
you want to embrace the dad bod. That's what
Yeah.
you're saying. Okay.
I want
Embracing
someone.
it.
I want someone who's watching the kids, but has the what is it? The AirPods in.
Yes,
That
sir.
no one knows he's listening.
Yeah.
And he can watch in the morning. That's my idea.
Okay.
But all right, top 3 out of these 3: Domino's, Pizza Hut,
Rank 'em.
Papa John's. Rank
Rank
it.
'em. Go.
Do it. Power ranking.
I don't like any of those three.
Doesn't matter. Just rank them. Just rank them.
All right, so Domino's, Pizza Hut, or
Papa
Papa
John's.
John's. Okay, I'm going to go Domino's, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, just like you said.
Pizza Hut, Domino's, Papa John's.
You're wrong. It's Papa
There's
John's,
no right or wrong
Domino's,
answer, but that's okay.
Pizza Hut. No, it's Pizza Hut's the worst. That's the
It's
shit.
not even close. It's the greatest food in history of pizza, besides the slice spot in Ybor, which I'm going to buy soon.
Maybe because you're from Canada, we'll let it slide.
Thank you.
But
Great debate. Great debate.
look, we're getting it out of the way, man. These are hot takes.
These are
Yeah.
hot.
Literally hot
These are
pizza
hot.
takes.
If you haven't fell asleep yet, we're going to start the pod, I
All
swear.
right, so our sponsor, our for real sponsor today is Grasshopper. Grasshopper phones. Look, all 3 of us have our own business in this room, right? So you have to have a business line, or else you're a total jabroni. When you're doing your own side hustle, you're getting things going, or you're trying to sell something online. Maybe you got an Etsy store of macrame gator quilts, right, Chad?
Yep.
Sweaters.
Jean
And
shorts.
sweaters.
Yeah.
Jorts, lots of jorts at
Yeah.
the.
Maybe you're
the
selling
swamp.
jorts on Etsy, but it's starting to get bigger, and you need to separate your life a little bit from this business. So you got to get a phone line. It's so funny when people just have their own phone running their own business and they answer like, hello? And you're like, wait, I thought this was like a real company.
I do that.
Yeah, but I mean, look, you guys are power attorneys. That's different. I'm just saying, for those out there that need a business line, we can hook people up. We get the hookup for our listeners. $50 off if you go to the link, and we're going to put this in the podcast post. It's trygrasshopper.com/3XO. Trygrasshopper.com/3XO. You get $50 off. You need a phone. If anything, get a phone line just to sign up for stuff online so you don't get harassed with texts and stuff on your personal.
Yeah, no, it's worth it.
Yeah, so it's pretty sweet. It's scalable. You can add phone lines. We're going to migrate our stuff over to it in this office. So that's out of the way. How y'all feeling? Feeling good?
I'm feeling good.
I'll throw my rant out whenever, so don't feel like – so how was the games yesterday for y'all?
Well, where do you want to start? You want to start chronologically? You got, well, of course, USF. I mean, we're kind of homers here with USF. They beat down Temple 43-7. Quentin Flowers had an average day. I don't know if I'm going to throw him in there still with the Heisman watch. Believe he had.
I thought you were all about on the past couple of weeks.
He's fallen off a little bit, especially when we'll talk about this later, the Heisman watch, but especially some of these
I tried
guys.
to tell you this. You would have saved a lot of airtime.
Saquon Barkley, Baker Mayfield are really making a name for themselves right now. But he had two TDs rushing, none passing. He's not really keeping up with the other ones, but still, USF wins. And if while I'm talking right now, you might as well just talk about that Florida-Kentucky game last night. I've been itching to talk about it. We walked in. We all wanted to talk about these games, but we held off just so we can put it on mic for you guys. So second week in a row, Florida, I did not like how they played. Both this time on both the offensive and the defensive sides of the ball. It was sloppy. It was messy.
2 weeks of sloppy football.
Good Lord. We
still
found
got
a way
more
to win.
season left, though.
Found a way to win,
Now, let me ask you a question, though. Who's your quarterback? Because they played two different. I want to know what's going on.
We'll get there.
I don't know. That's why I want to know. I don't watch Florida games unless they're playing Tennessee. So.
Right. Let's give a short little.
Because there's not a lot of reason.
No.
It's not good football.
No.
Well, not right now. It is. Well,
That's true. Not right now. It's not. You're
right.
I'll give you that. I'm not going to say completely no. But anyway.
So what happened? And I hate it. I listen to some college football podcasts, and if they don't say the score, like that just something annoys me. So I'm going to make a focus to try to say the score. At least what happened.
The idea of this podcast is for some people that it's a podcast is active listening, passive activity. Usually, you're doing something else.
Yep.
You're doing some work, or you're driving in the commute. So it's good.
Yeah.
We're some people miss it. I missed last Saturday or last Sunday's podcast because I had family stuff. So
allegedly.
Well, I can't tell you about those container ships. Okay, guys.
Yeah. So. With that being said, 28-27, and we take it for granted because we're such college football junkies. We watch every game. We try to anyway. That we just assume everyone else does. No one else has. Not a lot of people have the time for that. So anyway, 28-27, Florida wins. They are down by 13 points in the fourth quarter. Had looked horrendous up to that point. They outscore Kentucky 14-3 in the fourth quarter. They win. Kentucky had a 56-yard field goal to win it with no time left. They miss it by 3 yards. It was right on target. It fell about 3 yards short. So it was just another nail-biter. But let's talk about the quarterback situation of Florida. It's a big deal. Before this week, Felipe Franks, go ahead.
Before I get into that, I wrote down a note.
Go ahead.
So you say I don't prepare, Steve.
I was going to say you took notes?
Yeah.
It was an accident.
No, I will, because we're doing this live, I don't want to I want to step up a game, right? So I'm trying to write anything I see, just trying to take a minute, write something down. And I noticed y'all's kicker looks like Aaron Hernandez. He never picked up a weight, ever. Just look at him.
I see that. I've never heard that.
He's like
it's too soon, though. I don't know. Anyway.
Oh, you feel bad for him? The murderer?
Did I say that?
There's
victims involved. Anyway.
It's a feeling.
Who's playing quarterback for these guys?
He's talking about Eddie Pinheiro, by the way. Our kicker, Eddie Pinheiro.
He's a good kicker, by the way. He's got a leg.
No doubt. I'm just saying, I just looked at him. I was like, God, what is he? He looks like Aaron Hernandez if he never worked out.
Aaron Hernandez, little brother, less murderous little brother.
A little bit. Yeah, just a tiny.
He's a little murdery, though. I'm not
sure
how
want to get
murdery
there.
So the quarterback situation of Florida. Felipe Franks before this week. He's a future, former 4-star. We stole him from LSU. Big 6'5" guy, huge arm. That's what we want to be the future. But this week was just not getting it done several times. And if you've ever played, even high school football, you know that the quarterback has a lot to do with calling out, who the Mike linebacker is, who's rushing. You'll tell the
Not
line.
a lot. They got everything to do with
right,
it.
Right. Who the line has to block. And he just wasn't doing it several times. Just guys running free, like he was not calling out protections. So McElwain kind of made the right decision and went and brought in Del Rio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, honestly, I think he needs to stick with Del Rio the rest of the year. Del Rio has more experience. I think Frank's going to be good, but he's going to be that fifth-year senior when he's 23, 24 years old who will know this system so well. That's when you're going to see him at his best. You're not going to get his best right now. So if McElwain really wants the Gators to stop having these nail-biting games and to really get ahead early in games, he's got to play Luke Del Rio the rest of the year. Right. That's my opinion.
Well, you say
really
that,
think he does.
And you know what? I was glad to see something different because it was frustrating. But then Del Rio comes out, first drive, throws an INT.
He hasn't played in a couple weeks. When was the last time he threw a football?
So I'm frustrated. But so what happened was, again, he led us on 2 touchdown drives in the fourth quarter. After that, it all worked out. But the other main thing, and I don't know if you guys have seen the highlights, and I'm sure a lot of people have.
Definitely not.
There were 2 instances. I've never seen this before in all my years of watching college football. 2 instances where Kentucky left a Gator receiver wide open. They're at the bottom of the screen. Like you see, there's no one on him. Hikes it real quick, touchdown. The very last touchdown, again, same thing.
I love it.
No one's on. Yeah, first time it was Tyree Cleveland, I think, and second time I can't remember the other receiver. But anyway, 2 times they left them open. So Kentucky's no one but themselves to blame for this loss. And
I got to watch my dad, 70-year-old fella, watch his Florida Gators in the third quarter, which was very exciting because he's like he's just so pissed. And
what was he like last week against Tennessee? Was he losing his mind?
He was like catatonic, I think. But it's always funny to see it because my dad's a very reserved guy, and he's just like Florida Gators stresses him out basically, and he's like. It almost sounds like if you're in the other room, it sounds like he has Tourette's because he's like, "Oh God damn it!" Like
that's how I was too, man. Florida's played some bad football this year. That third quarter may have been the worst football we've played all year. Luckily, came back in the fourth. Let me run through a couple notes here. Everyone knows Florida, Kentucky is the longest active streak of one team beating another. It's now 31 times in a row.
And the other streak, most consecutive clips of people in the audience that look sad. That it was all Florida fans being sad, and then we were
switched.
My wife and I were laughing because there's one 40-year-old guy that the diehard Gator fan that definitely wears jorts, not ironically, and he's like, "Come on, like total dad bod, angry dad," and it was so fucking funny. I just had to point that out because there was so many shots at the end, and then it flipped to the Kentucky guys.
Oh yeah,
one dude tatted
Couldn't
up,
believe it,
just all the way to his sleeves.
I honestly feel bad for Kentucky because they've come close to beating us several times. One time, someone in this room was with me. 2014, Steve and I were in the swamp, baby.
Again.
Nice.
In the
Multiple
swamp.
visits.
3 triple overtime.
That was a good game, too.
Yeah, it was a great game in the swamp. But again, Kentucky's come so close. They have a lot of talent on the roster this year.
Yeah,
watch out for Steven Johnson, man. It's their quarterback, Steven Johnson. He's good.
But we're spending way too much time on a shitty game.
Yes, bro. Thank you.
Let's keep it popping.
I was keeping it moving, man.
I got a hard out, man.
Okay, next. But by you pointing that out, that made it even longer.
There you go. No, it would have kept going.
That was my last. That was
It
literally
was
my
worth
last
it.
note.
We had to go a little bit further to go backwards.
It's dangerous. 2 steps back.
Next.
Anyway, how about that?
Let's go Baker Mayfield and how fucking who's your daddy, bro? Who's your daddy, motherfucker?
Yes.
Check our Twitter page if you want to know what that's all about.
Yeah. 3XO Pod over on Twitter. Yeah. I'm going to try to timestamp this on Facebook while we're going, by the way. Feel free to add comments. It's a good time. Go ahead. Y'all, I want to hear what y'all are think.
Well, first of all, last week we talked about this game, we just looked over it. I mean, I know we said last week, and we were right. There was 3 upsets yesterday. This could have been a 4th one. But, when there's those quiet, flaccid schedules, you're not really sure if there's really important games. Not girthy at all. But there was some stuff that happened. There should have been actually 5 upsets. Penn State should have lost, but they pulled it out at the end. Oklahoma scared the hell out of me. Good thing Baker Mayfield won because he's still in the Heisman race. He would have been completely gone, an afterthought if he didn't win this game. But, it just shows you, because this happens to a lot of teams very often, where you just kind of take your opponent too lightly. You get ahead too early, and you think no one's ever going to come back on you. They played really complacent, and they stopped running the football in the second half until later in the game. So Oklahoma clearly was going to win this game regardless, but the fact that they're showing that they can be complacent isn't good for them in the future, because they're going to have harder games coming down the road. And Oklahoma State did the same thing against TCU, not to jump too far ahead, but that's kind of what I took away from that game. But good thing that they were able to squeak it out, because a lot of teams that were ranked high almost lost. Them, Penn State, and a couple other ones, USC as well, squeaked away from Carolina.
Man,
So
I love,
top 5 teams.
I love Baker Mayfield, man.
Me too, man.
After the flag planting, and then what Law was talking about was before the game, he walks up, of course, a little trash talking back and forth between Baylor pregame, and he walks up and says, he says, I'm going to have to spank you because you forgot who your daddy is. And he's just talking all kinds of trash to him.
That's true.
I love him, man. I love him. But
That's why he's my Heisman pick since the first week of the season.
The score of that game was 49-41, by the way. Oklahoma beats Baylor.
Yes, score is important.
Yes, very, very important. Do you have any notes on that?
I mean, I like that it was going wire to wire at the end there. It made it exciting. It was like, oh, Baylor still has a lot of good people on it. You forget that. So
they have a lot of talent.
Yeah, I'm trying to mess with our Mevo camera.
You guys stole one of their quarterbacks, though.
Frozen. Yeah, we didn't steal him. There was a lot of sexual stuff going on in Baylor that he left, and we got a quarterback out of it. I'm good with that.
Fair enough.
It's like Cam Newton.
Did you? Okay, so you're saying you're talking about
Minus
Auburn.
the payoff.
Auburn, yeah.
Did you want to talk about the Auburn game real quick?
Missouri.
Another tough opponent. Who'd you guys play this week?
You play Missouri. I mean, they're not quite the Mercer Bears.
No,
but no, it was satisfying, I'd say. How about that? It was satisfying that we put a stomping on them.
51-14.
Kerryon Johnson, had 5 touchdowns?
5 TDs on like 50 yards rushing, but he didn't need a lot of yards rushing, but 5 TDs.
Yeah, I was telling someone, I was talking to another Auburn fan this week, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if Malzahn's offense is just, maybe people figured it out, a little bit. Maybe it's not as novelty, or maybe the coordinators he had were really, integral to his success.
Maybe. I think Stidham I talked about this last week. I don't want to get too much into it again, but I think being in a new, he's still learning the system. They're finding out each week how much more they can give him. He was consistent yesterday. I think he was like 13 or 14 for 17, 218, a touchdown or something like that.
Yeah.
But they didn't overdo it with the passing, because he threw for 364 yards the previous week. So, I mean, I think they're piecemealing him offense and they're firing out, but they really rely on the run game, which most SEC teams do. But I mean, I think a win like this for Auburn is good because it's an SEC win. But I mean, next week they're going to be tested again in a probably more tougher route, which they haven't really faced anybody that tough all year. So this will be probably their hardest game next week.
So we talked about the Gators, talked about Auburn. Let's talk about Tennessee.
Let's not. We got
Let's
the
talk
win.
about Tennessee, man.
Listen, we won. I'm good, but we got bigger fish to fry next week. So I'm already over this.
Already over it.
I'm already on to Cincinnati. This is it. We're going to the next game, man.
We are, but let's just say the score. It was a 17-14.
Yes.
Where are we at? Sorry.
That's okay.
Tennessee beat UMass. That's right.
UMass, the 0-3 UMass team.
John Kelly ran for a bill and a TD. What's up, brother? I like that.
My stat of the day, of course, is going to be hating on Tennessee. Tennessee
Nobody cares about your stat of the day. Stat of the day is Kentucky almost lost or won.
Here we go. Stat of the day. Tennessee had 56 total yards in the second half in this game against UMass.
And still won. That's how bad UMass is. We'll take the victory.
Anyway, I just wanted to rib the Tennessee fans out there.
That's okay. You can have that. 2
bit.
weeks in a row, though, you got to stick it to us. That's fine.
That's not a stick it to you. That's a very, very gentle ribbing. Very gentle ribbing.
How about this? I'll throw this out there. I promised an old high school teammate of mine.
Nice.
Best Aaron Fryer, badass running back when he was here at Jesuit and went to Duke.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was
good basketball team.
Yeah. He was he was there when Duke was like okay with the I think the Ted Roof years maybe.
Ooh.
Oh, maybe Cutcliffe.
He might have been
remember.
there too. Yeah.
But he threw it out last night. I saw him post it on Facebook.
Nice.
And I said, hey, I'm going to take that and I'm going to just throw it out on our podcast today.
Do it.
So shout out to him. But best conference, he was saying the SEC gets all this dominate. They dominate everything, but we're really looking at it. And it's like Big 12 probably better. Big 10's better than SEC right now.
It's hard to argue against ACC, man. They have the defending champion.
So what's the most dominant conference right now?
I don't know. Florida State lost yesterday. We can talk about that.
I know this is like a very vanilla question you can throw out just any week, but
here's the thing.
Yeah,
There's always
I think the answer is the same every time. It's going to be SEC no matter what. Because if you look at the body of work overall, you're going to have an SEC team or two every year in the college football playoff. You're going to have probably multiple SEC teams ranked in the top 5, 10 every single year. The top recruits in the country every year go to SEC teams. So I think you can't compete with those stats.
Well,
if they're undefeated, then that's the best conference.
It's two separate questions, right? If we're talking over the past 10 years, it's SEC. If we're talking about just last year, I mean, stats don't lie.
The question did not
say this year,
Oh,
this
year?
For this year.
Let's go this
After
year.
3 weeks of football,
4, right?
I'd probably say the ACC is probably the best right now.
I don't know if Florida State lost.
Look, I'll ask this every week because it's just fun to argue about. But I wouldn't say SEC right now. If you really think about it, I mean, you have Bama that's really carrying the rest of the conference.
Right.
If we're weighting it, Tennessee.
I'm not scared of anyone except for Alabama and the SEC. So.
I'd be scared of Georgia right now.
I'd be scared of that Vanderbilt kid that called out
Alabama.
Oh,
yeah? That was hilarious.
I would not be scared
Coming
of
through Alabama.
He got his shit pushed.
Aren't you guys playing Vanderbilt next week, too?
Yeah, we're playing Vanderbilt next week.
But he was so soft in the video too. I was like, "Oh, why'd you do this? You shouldn't."
I'd probably, you know what? It's probably I still think it's ACC. I mean, you got the former Heisman winner. Louisville's good. Clemson's good. Florida State can be good if they had a good quarterback.
Penn State pulling out a little bit yesterday on Iowa didn't really make me solid on them. But
the way they finished the game, though.
But yeah, again, they finished.
And Barkley had 300 plus yards.
Saquon Barkley. Can we talk about that guy? That's my other guy, man.
My number
Baker
one
Mayfield.
pick, top 25 fantasy league.
He
and
killed
Baker
it for
Mayfield.
you.
Bam.
Was it 358 all-purpose yards yesterday versus Iowa? This guy's a monster. I mean, Saquon Barkley. That's my other guy. Him and Baker Mayfield. But let me go back a little bit on that SEC.
Go ahead.
The favorite thing for people to say is SEC bias, and I think at this point, I love one of my favorite things in pop culture is the backlash to the backlash. For example, pumpkin spice. This is way off topic, but real quick.
I love pumpkin spice.
Exactly.
PSL?
People loved it.
GTL,
and then
PSL.
they hated it. People hated it so
Pumpkin
much.
spice latte, bro?
They drank it ironically, and now all of a sudden people love it again. There's a backlash to a backlash. So same thing with SEC football.
Tell me if you ever see someone that's not white getting a pumpkin spice latte. I've never seen it.
Well, that's not the point. The point is the backlash
Just
to a
throwing
backlash.
it out there.
SEC football.
Like you guys won't say it. I will.
I definitely won't say it.
There's a backlash to add to people loving SEC. People, there's a bias, and all of a sudden everyone's saying there's a bias, and now I think there's a backlash to a backlash. People are accepting again the SEC is probably the most dominant conference. Not last year, maybe not this year, but yes, over the past 10 years.
The early 2000s, Nick Saban getting LSU up, and then obviously Nick Saban going back to Alabama. A lot of those years when they were winning multiple championships, that kind of made a lot of the top players in the country take more notice that SEC's probably here to stay. And Paul Feinbaum, every week
I love Paul Feinbaum.
Mr. SEC obviously pumps them up. But again, if you just look, I mean, all the 4 or 5-star rated prospects are going to SEC schools. I mean, I think you're getting more of them now going to some ACC schools, but it was really heavily SEC dominated. But now I think there's a little bit more of a spread, which is why I think you'll see the conferences spread. But I mean, I think the SEC is the most dominant in college football, but I think right now, I think the ACC is coming on. There was a big debate about that earlier in the year, at the start of the season. Florida State's head coach was getting into that big debate. He even said flat out ACC is the best conference in football.
I'll make a weak metaphor. It's like the economy, right? Alabama's kind of that 1%er, and then it's kind of niche. Everybody's got to be their own niche in the middle right now. And in the middle
within the conference, you mean, or the
just overall?
Okay,
just
I meant conference.
What is there? 130? How many teams? 130?
Yeah, 130 now.
130
So like
Division 1, yeah.
70% are below the poverty line in a way,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Even some Power 5 schools are below the poverty line.
Right.
Yeah,
So
true.
that's how I kind of contextualize it. Like Alabama's the 1%er. There's a couple rich guys at the top.
Yep.
But then it's the middle class is kind of very long, from like 4 to fucking 40, and
Maybe more than that.
but it's every one of them's got their own niche now. Like that's kind of the beauty of college football. You can be like an air raid offense that doesn't exist in the pros. You can be a triple option.
Oh God, yeah.
You know,
It's the
so
only place
like
you can do it at.
you can try to emulate Alabama like Wisconsin, or because they're basically just I formation, run it.
Teams don't go no huddle
Defense.
offenses. Never like Marcus Mariota. They were scared because he never had a huddle. Never went under center to take a snap. I mean, these are things you can
do
only
Malzahn,
do.
you
Yeah,
can
in
do-
college football,
So,
that's the way it is.
So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. That's the way I can kind of. We've thrown this theory out there like 40 years ago. The middle class of college football is expanding Maybe that's not a metaphor exactly.
No.
Because the economy isn't
No,
really.
it's a very good
the middle
point.
class is
No,
expanding.
that's a good metaphor. I
Here's
like
why.
it.
No, it's a perfect metaphor because
Oh.
you're right. Because if you think about it, and this
I'm
is
a
what
genius.
and no, this goes. This is great because this goes to the whole point about why people are challenged the SEC being the best conference. I don't know. I think we've talked about this last year or 2 years ago on this podcast, but it's because good players, even though we say like the most high quality 4 or 5 stars are really going to the same SEC schools all the time, but a lot of good 3-star prospects otherwise who might not go to those big, top schools because they might not be able to play right away or have to wait 2 years, they're going to the middle class.
Yeah.
And they're helping to build those programs come up and they're becoming, better programs. Programs like Washington, I mean, really, they're not a 7th-ranked team in the country the past 20 years. I mean, they were really nobody until a couple of years ago. And so you start getting these players, and that helps these other, lower-tier, middle-tier programs rise, and that's what makes them more relevant. It makes other conferences in college football become relevant besides the SEC.
Let me take your metaphor one step further too, Law. So just like the rich, you use money to make money, right?
Yeah.
So just like Alabama, they use these 5-star prospects, 5-star on 5-star on 5-star, to do really well.
Yes.
That in turn gets them more 5-star
Return on their
prospects.
investment.
Yes,
I like
there you go.
that.
ROI.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Now I'm getting a business boner.
Yeah.
You
Even
can't
though-
see it,
even-
but
even though he
it
said-
hit the wood table. You
Even
can-
though you said that it's a half chub.
yeah, it's girthy. It's like a skull can.
It's funny how you said that, like, the rich use money to make money. It's actually they use people's labor to make money. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, other way around, because college
But-
football, there's that big debate
and
about college football
also,
players not getting paid.
Just like once you're loaded, you get to this certain upper echelon where you're just getting paid just because you have a lot of money. So
True.
It's Alabama's kind of, they're so good for the last 10 years that
Yeah,
it's an embarrassment
consistently.
of riches. Sometimes that's why Last Chance U has so many like
Oh my
Bama
God.
and other big programs that these guys flail out because they're usually shitheads at some point. But
so, I mean, this made a mistake somewhere.
I
yeah.
mean, like, how many people from Bama transferred because it was just like, oh, there's too many studs, I gotta go.
a lot.
And then they
Alvin
were stud,
Kamara.
They were a stud somewhere else. Yeah, exactly. So
Which is great for Alabama because it kind of filters them out.
It
for
does,
them,
and
it's-
they burn them
lost.
out. They burn them out before they get to the pros too.
They lost 2 5-star quarterbacks the past 2 years. There was one that was supposed to play ahead of Jalen Hurts. He was supposed to switch positions. People thought when he came in as a freshman, and now he's the Heisman candidate, and he's their starting quarterback 2 years in a row, and he's a true sophomore. So I mean, they chew you up and spit you out programs like that. But those middle tier programs really don't do that. I mean, you have a chance to play from day one and become a god and not have to worry about losing your position in some of those. And that's why a lot of people like to go to those other schools because all you have to do is get film, get tape that's quality tape to go to the NFL. And a lot of times they don't want to have to deal with that rat race of being in those top tier programs like
Right.
Alabama, LSU, everywhere else.
Washington's McMansion?
Yes.
Yeah, they're $100,000 millionaire kind of
Well,
because
They're looking good though.
They're out kicking their coverage, in a way. Not to use too many football metaphors to describe
Well,
a football team.
this is a great metaphor. I feel like we got a little off topic here, and Law has a
course.
hard out.
He does
yeah.
have a hard out.
Oh,
So let's you want to get back into some more
I
of
do
these
want to hear
games?
about because none of this stuff's talked about on game day enough.
I'll do a rant real quick.
Okay,
I
yeah,
want to
get-
know what's
get
your issue with
rant.
game day because it was in New York City. They've never had it there before.
Hold on.
Why the hell were they there anyway? I don't know. Was there a game in
The
New York City I didn't
Heisman
know
Trophy
about?
is presented in New York.
Fair
They
enough.
kept on saying
Okay,
that.
well, I guess I'm wondering because what the hell are they doing here? There's no game in
Yeah.
Times Square.
Well, they were already in New York, right? Law, like they were. ESPN was already there. It was a cost saving maneuver.
they're
That was part of it.
They're already there. They're in like what? Bristol,
Connecticut.
It's
Yeah,
right
yeah.
outside, right?
But they travel every week. They're somewhere
right.
different.
So here's the deal. And I sent this to y'all via Slack, and I think y'all feel me. So
Slack plug.
yeah, Slack. Work less, I think is their slogan.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's my thing. I get
I don't know
really
what that
pissed.
means.
I get really pissed about this because it's like, all right, game day, and think about ESPN. They basically dictate how sports are broadcast. They move the market on everything sports wise.
Yep.
The other guys just try to copy
Yep.
or keep up.
They're the Goliath.
Exactly.
Yep.
And game day was the one thing that didn't placate to New York and LA that ESPN about like 15 years ago goes, hey, we gotta really pump the big cities because everybody loves big city teams, big city journalists. So like even like around the horn when they didn't even have like Miami on there. They didn't have Houston on there. They didn't have some guys like some cities on there represented. It's like, dude, not everything's Boston, New York, Dallas, and LA. That's like a clear example of like we're gonna focus on these cities. They tried to make these like local ESPN pages that were just dedicated to those like radio stations, sports franchises there. Anyway, so just so we're all on the same level, ESPN's really trying to make like we're big city live in kind of a thing. And college football is the opposite of that.
So opposite of that.
Like
Oh my
Alabama,
goodness.
Mississippi, if you live there, you don't have a pro team. So this is everything for the weekend, and this is usually your pro and college. Like this is all your sports into one. And you're a football fan, like shit. If you're Mississippi State, you're fucking crying into a cowbell right now. So
Cowbell.
and the beauty of Game Day was anti everything kind of ESPN. It's crazy. There's fans there. The signs they can't control some of the signs, and they have shitty things said on them.
Yeah.
There's a Washington State flag at every one of them. It has its own traditions and stuff.
Love that.
And they go, okay, we're gonna go to New York. No one fucking asked to go to New York. Who was like, I want to see Game Day in Times Square? Times Square is the shittiest place to go in New York.
Hey, how was the crowd? Because I didn't catch Game Day yesterday. Was it
fine.
hype?
It was
Yeah.
fine.
Hype? That was New York City. It should be hype.
But I mean,
In
it
the
was
fall.
like it was like, oh shit, this is gonna be. It's like we're gonna do Game Day from the Hollywood sign. It's like, who the fuck wants that?
Yeah.
Times Square is like an outdoor mall essentially. What is like M&M factory?
great outdoor
and,
mall.
Like FAO Schwartz. I don't know what's there. It used to be all like hookers and strip clubs. If they did it like in a time
the
machine,
20s.
in like the 70s, it'd have been fine.
Oh.
I just think like there's no college teams there really represented. Have y'all been to New York on a game day? Like pro is fine. You can find a bar. You can find those niche bars, but
Knicks game.
it's really tough to find college games. When I lived in LA, you'd go to a bar and they didn't give a fuck about football at all. They just claimed to be. They would throw it out there that they were 12 different teams bar. Like,
Yep.
This one would be like, we're the Auburn bar. And I'd show up and the Florida game's on, West Virginia's on,
Nice.
and I can't watch it. And I was like, what the fuck? And this happened multiple times. LA's probably the worst fucking city, sports fan wise. I'm just saying, like, Game Day in New York, who gives a fuck? Who wanted this? And college football is great because it's small city living. It is the most passionate sport we have in America. It's the closest thing to soccer. Hooligans we've got.
Yep.
And you kind of take that away when you go off campus. I feel kind of the same way about all these games being on neutral sites. You're taking one game away.
We talked about that last
or
season.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Every other year, a game
Especially
away
the really
from
big
someone.
one. The really big ones that go like neutral site games.
I'm okay with that first week, but maybe the rest of the time, I don't know. Like I was watching Arkansas Texas A&M yesterday. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I know
Great
this is
game.
their thing.
Great
They
game.
meet in the middle. I'm okay with that, I guess. But
You couldn't
I don't
tell,
know.
like, yeah.
I would rather just alternate.
His team's a part of that. Isn't the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, baby?
yeah.
Georgia,
but
Florida.
That's different
Always
though.
neutral
That's
site.
huge. That's
That's
half
been
and
around
half.
too.
Yeah, there are people
Yeah.
who are super
Well, I'm
passionate
just saying,
about that.
maybe there's some
No,
that are
there-
necessary. I'm just trying to add different.
No,
different
Red River
flavor to the argument.
Red River Shootout is
Yep.
what, in Dallas.
There's no reason that they shouldn't have that though at Texas or Oklahoma. But and unless there's a reason for seating, like if there's a place they're going that has like 30,000 more seats and they can sell more tickets because the stadium they have at home is too small, then I can understand that.
Look, you're
I
just
understand money.
you're just
I'm
seeing-
I'm a capitalist, much like every other school is too. But sometimes those things are sacred to keep at your own home stadium. That's all.
we're just seeing this kind of marketing on a level that, or marketing and branding on a level for other sports. We've seen kind of NFL, like they've really tried to appeal to women. For like the last 7 years, they're really trying to appeal to women, which is like, okay.
And being condescending
not?
about it too. Be like,
Yeah.
making everything
Here's how-
pink. And
Go
yeah.
to NFL.com to learn the rules.
And look, the uniforms are pretty uniforms. Like, come on.
Your pea brain can't get it. Go to NFL.com.
Terrible.
But yeah, no, it's one of those things where I hate that because that's like, I don't know. I feel like college football has tradition. That's a little bit of why you like it too. Like Auburn will never leave. The Tampa Bay Bucks could leave, right?
Yeah.
But Auburn's
No.
always going to be
That's a
there.
good point. Yeah.
So it's
College teams aren't going anywhere.
So that's my thing.
That's
is like, plus I didn't go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I went to Auburn. So it's kind of that thing of like, I don't know. I feel like it should be North Dakota, or when they went there, that's fine. That's great. That's awesome. I think because it's like they'll never be on TV.
Yeah.
They'll never have anything like that. When Game Day went there, it was like the coolest thing they've ever had
Yeah.
in North Dakota.
Well, let's hope that this
that
is the
was
last
awesome.
year they have New York, doing that. But I agree, it's antithetical to everything that College Game Day stands for. It's the passion of the local fans, and yeah, I hope it's not in LA next week. Well, LA, I mean USC, LA, but still.
No, USC fans don't give a like. They're the fakest fans. They're like,
What,
what's
USC?
that? Who's that? What's that guy's name? Like
O.J. Simpson?
Samantha Durner. What's the quarterback's name, bro? I don't know. It was at a volleyball tournament down in Huntington Beach. Like they don't there's too much good. It's not LA's fault. There's too many good things to do in LA.
Yeah.
That was my problem. Is like, I was the weird guy out of my friends that was like, oh no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to watch football all day. And they're like, what the fuck's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. Ohio State's playing Mercer. I got to fucking watch, So, anyway, game started earlier over there too. So shout out for the dad bods on the West Coast watching.
Hell yeah.
Well, let's talk. You touched on one of those games real quick. You want to talk about that
Yeah,
Texas A&M Arkansas game?
Yeah.
At
Good
Jerry's World.
Shootout,
Great
baby.
game, man. Great game.
I only watched the first half, but I followed the second half on my phone.
Bielema's getting fired, bro.
I was just gonna say that's the next coach in the hot seat. Sumlin was able to. That was a battle of the hot seats yesterday.
And you saw that first half. You saw when Texas A&M's quarterback ran all the way down the field with a 90-yard run down the field. Did not step out of the 10-yard line.
No.
Referee called him out.
Yeah.
Non-reviewable play, and then they ended up getting a field goal. I said if they lose by 4 points or less, they're gonna be pissed, and someone might get fired.
The football gods.
Call.
The football gods overcame the refs yesterday, and that's all that matters.
Texas A&M pulls
great
it out.
game, great game. But I mean, like we said, I love Kevin Sumlin, man.
Yeah, same here.
I want A&M to always do well. There's certain games like they're playing Tennessee or something
He's
like that.
good for college
go
football.
against
I don't want him to get fired. I like watching Texas A&M, even though they're technically
such,
a rival.
He's such a good recruiter, but he is a good in-game
Christian
coach.
Kirk.
Listen, Johnny Manziel.
No, but Christian Kirk right now
Christian
is
Kirk
fucking
right now is killing.
lighting it
But
up.
Mike Evans.
he's got to keep.
Exactly.
He's got to keep a good, high-rated quarterback. We talked about that before. But look, he's doing nothing wrong. It's just, it's the SEC. You're going to have battles up and down every week. But at the end of the day, he's got enough good recruits to help him win games. They just got to be consistent at quarterback. That's it. Other than that, they're going to be fine.
What about, we didn't get to this. What about your boy Trill? Kenny Trill, bro?
What you want to know? He lit up Oklahoma State.
You hate Trill.
I don't hate him.
Bro.
I want him to stay at Texas A&M. That's all. I was mad about that he left.
Yeah.
I thought
That's my guy. That's my dude.
Because that's how that's what hurts Kevin Sumlin is when guys like that leave for no reason.
Well, now you can.
And we saw what he can do if he's doing that Texas A&M. Man, they'd be a top 10 team right now if they had a quarterback like that.
I know. Maybe I hope it's starting to click for Kenny Trill Hill right now. Because
I hope so too, because he's a player, man.
Yeah.
And let me tell you this: I don't know if you guys watched this game yesterday. Oklahoma State had a chance to come back and win this game. It shows you that the TCU has a lot of resolve. They're very well coached. But on top of that, is Mason Rudolph out of the Heisman race with this loss?
Right now, yeah.
It's funny.
Not in top 5.
I was
Had 3 turnovers.
I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and Oklahoma State does this every year. Well, they'll look really good, then they'll kind of fade out because they'll lose to somebody. But Lamar Jackson, when he won the Heisman last year, his numbers were just like Mason Rudolph's, who's got probably the best numbers in college football for a quarterback right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Lamar Jackson, I think he lost 1 or 2 games and was still able to win the Heisman. And then people were asking the question is, does Mason Rudolph still have a shot despite this loss? He played bad. He didn't have turnovers, but is he still in the running, or is I guess
in the running? It's
or
early.
his chances
It's
gone?
early.
But are
It's
his
week
chances
4.
gone? Are they gone? You can say
It's week 4.
They're
chances are
diminished.
gone.
They're diminished. They're not gone.
Because Baker Mayfield loses to Baylor. Trust me, he
What do
won't.
you got?
He won't win the Heisman.
You got well right now, but you got.
I got Baker Mayfield 1.
No, wait.
For me,
Barkley.
No, for me. I'm just telling you. Me. Barkley's 2 for me.
Your crazy opinion on that.
Saquon
Okay.
Barkley's
How is
clear leader,
how
I
is
think,
Barkley
yeah.
not your number 1 right now?
He's clear leader in
Because
my
Baker
opinion.
Mayfield says,
Well,
"Who's your daddy?"
Mayfield's a quarterback, so that gives him an advantage.
No, but Steve's list. I'm not saying what we
Okay.
think's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Because
I'll
we
tell
know
you what's
we know
really
it's
good.
only going to be QB.
I tell it how it is. You tell it how it might be, and I'm going to tell you the difference here.
Wow.
The difference is they
wow.
play.
Are you a '90s rapper?
They play hard. P Diddy line. They play. Shouts P Diddy. They play harder competition than Penn State. That's all. That's the only reason why I'm taking them. The Big 12. They play a lot harder teams. They played earlier teams, more difficult teams. They played Ohio State. Penn State hasn't played them yet. I don't know if they do on their schedule. I haven't checked. But
I don't. No, they don't.
it's hard. Well, there you go. And it's a lot harder to play those teams than playing an unranked Iowa team. Although it is hard to win in Connect City on the road, and they almost lost. And he played well. His Heisman chances were not hurt last night. He had 1 touchdown. Touchdowns don't matter. It's,
Who are we
he
talking
kept
about?
them in the
Who's he?
game.
Who's
Barkley
he?
against
Barkley,
Iowa.
okay.
Yeah, but look, Baker Mayfield's numbers and what he means to that team. I'm not saying Saquon Barkley doesn't mean to that team because he is the heart and soul of that team. Baker Mayfield's on the next level. Your quarterback, you ride or die. He's gone. There's nothing. So in terms of them being able to be in the college football championship title running. So I just like him.
So who's your top 3 then?
My top 3 is Mayfield, Barkley, and I'll probably have to go with number 3. It's a toss-up. It was Mason Rudolph. He lost, so that's why I got a little bit clouded from that. But I think I'm probably going to actually put
Quentin Flowers. Okay, Law.
John Kelly. What's wrong with you, man? You got a date or something? You in a rush? John Kelly's probably number 2 or 3, and then on the outside of that, I do like Kelly from Clemson, the quarterback. I'm actually putting him in because they just keep winning. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I do is win.
Anyway, Law, who do you want? Because I don't care who he's got. Who you got?
I got Barkley.
Yeah.
I got Mayfield.
Yeah.
I got Trill.
Really? Out of one game yesterday? You even talk about him all season.
He's supposed to say Trill.
You
That's
just
all.
want to say
I know.
Trill.
I know.
What are you, a 90s rapper?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, conch fritters and mayonnaise sandwich.
What?
Yeah. What? Trick Daddy? Nothing?
Oh,
No
I
one?
like that.
Yeah.
My fault.
I'm trying to think 4 and 5. It's tough right now. It's so early. Plus, like, I don't know. I can't even think of 4 and 5 at the.
Well, we just did top
Flowers?
three.
We did top 3.
Yeah,
anyway.
we were doing
The
top
question
three
was
anyway.
3. But
What
it's
about
okay.
Florida State losing, man? We didn't even get to
Yeah,
that.
let's talk about that. Florida State losing. We got the huge
NC State
upset.
has a good line.
Yeah.
You know, like they're actually not bad. I think some people would look at that and go, ugh.
We
Florida
did last week. We were worried because they Florida State gets played
You
by
guys-
NC State every
Yeah, they give 'em a
year
good
the
game.
past
You guys
couple
dropped
years.
you guys dropped knowledge for the listeners last week on it. I heard it.
Well, good. I'm glad you
Yeah,
listened.
yeah.
I thought you didn't listen.
I spot checked.
So the last time that Florida State lost to NC State was coincidentally the last time that NC State beat a ranked opponent, I believe, was 2012. And guess who was the QB then? The Mr. Giraffe himself, former Tampa Bay backup QB, Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon.
Mike
NC
Glennon was a
State.
QB there.
The Stork.
Yes.
That was I actually watched that game. That was a good game. That was at NC State. I thought. That
yeah,
game.
yeah, and that was
Last
the last
second
time they
touchdown
won.
he threw to win that game.
But yeah, NC State always plays them tough. I was watching this game very closely because I have not mentioned this before. My brother and sister both went to FSU. Shout out to them.
Sorry about
also, one of my best friends, Nick Sheriff. Shout out to Nick. I think he's
Yeah,
a listener.
Big Nick.
He's also a big FSU guy. So I was on a group text with them, just talking my trash, you know. But
And Beth.
Oh yeah.
Beth's a big Florida State
And
along.
our West Coast
Fan, whatever it
co-hosts,
is.
Brendan T. Gleason and Beth Miller.
I like how she tweeted yesterday, Florida State's back, and I just wanted to be
Uh-oh.
like, it was early when she did that. I wanted to be like, not really. But I don't want to say that. I was gonna let it go.
That's West Coast living.
But
Very
listen.
high on life.
Florida State can be as good as they want to be, but losing Francois hurt them. They would have won that game if
Yeah,
they had
for
Francois
sure,
yesterday.
for sure.
Now, this young quarterback they have is actually a really good player, but it's just going to
Black
it's
man?
he's too small.
It's just going to take him a while. That don't matter.
Dude,
He's
He's like
6'5".
he's 6'5",
He's
165.
165
That's
pounds.
okay.
Yeah.
He just got the
I
college.
was joking.
man.
I was saying I
Give
saw
him chance.
a strong gust of wind might have blown him away. You know, he's like he'll fill out. He'll be a
He
good
threw-
player.
he
He's
threw-
got a
he
good
threw
arm.
some nice passes.
He's got a good
yesterday.
arm.
His
Yeah.
He's
weights,
gonna be
his
fine.
weights listed as not girthy on his profile.
Ungirthy.
Everything. Listen, I know what it's like. He's just everything's moving at him 100 miles an hour, and he hasn't had a chance to break things down as they happen. It'll get there. Jimbo Fisher can coach quarterbacks better than anybody in college football, next to Dan Mullen. Probably.
He is a QB whisperer.
He is, and that's why these good quarterbacks go there if they cannot get in trouble and stay there. I mean, there'll be a lot better ones. Florida Atlantic's got one that was on Last Chance U. I can't remember his name right now. It eludes me. But anyway, the players like that they could have had. But this guy's going to be just as good as anybody else who's come through there. He reminds me, I don't want to say it because he didn't last there either, Adrian McPherson, who was a good quarterback when he got there.
Yeah.
Athletic-wise, body type,
Yep.
arm, big arm. So I think he's going to be Florida State fans got to be patient with him. It's going to take him 2 years to really develop. But by the time he develops, are they going to play Francois or are they going to keep him? And that's the problem Florida State has to worry about is how good is he going to do right now, Blackman? Is he going to be their guy for the future or is he just going to fill it and he's going to have to go back and sit again when Francois comes back? Then Blackman has to get used to playing all over again. Or is he just going to transfer out?
Well, now
and that's the problem they're going to face.
Well, Francois is going to get a medical red shirt more than likely. He was the
Oh,
more
for
highly
sure.
touted recruit coming out of high school. They got to go back to Francois, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah, and listen, and conventional wisdom is saying the exact same thing, but the problem for Jimbo Fisher is once Francois is gone, it's like you're trying to build Blackman up right now to be your guy for the future. He could probably leave if he's not going to play. If he plays decently this year and knowing he has to sit and take a back seat now to Francois, he'll be gone and Florida State's got to start over again and find another quarterback. But it's just interesting how that problem comes up because it happens at a lot of schools. And Florida State seems to happen at a lot.
Let's bring up next week unless you got something else.
Yeah,
real quick. We got a lightning round.
Lightning round. 27-21 was that score. We didn't even mention that. And I wanted to mention one thing at the end of the second half. This is beautiful. NC State's coach. So Aguayo, for those who don't know, is the little brother of the infamous in the Tampa Bay area. Anyway, Roberto Aguayo.
Still famous.
We chose him the second round. He flamed out. He went to Chicago. He flamed out. So his little brother was 0 for 2 for the season.
Extra points?
No, in field goals.
Oh, field goals.
So he had a chance to kick a field goal at the end of the half, and NC State's coach had 3 timeouts.
Iced them?
How many do you think he used? to
All
ice
of them.
them?
He iced them. All three, baby. That's a G
All
move.
three
I
iced
love
them.
it.
That was
Is
beautiful.
Aren't the stats though that icing and kicker doesn't.
It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It was more just a, it was
Or
just, a
just
dick move.
overall, like the sample size, or you get enough sample size in a season, it like just doesn't do anything.
It's almost negligible. If anything, it's like a 0.01% chance they'll make it more because you
Yeah.
get a more practice. But you feel helpless. You want to call that timeout. So anyway, he ended up making it, and then at the very end, FSU blocked the punt. They could have, if they just got they got a field goal. They could have made it. It was a one-possession game, but they couldn't get the ball back at the end. They got a first down, and then they ran out the clock. So NC State beats FSU. But go ahead, Law.
No, I mean,
Well, next week's games. Unless you want to.
I can't
Steve,
bring
got anything?
my computer's kind of frozen. I can't bring anything up.
No, we're good. I mean, I want to touch
We're,
on.
I'll say we're in the doldrums of the season. We're in the kind of the valley. It goes down a little bit. There's not a lot of good games for usually like these
next 2-3 weeks, it'll be
early
soft.
middle. Yeah, they're very flaccid weeks.
Very flaccid weeks.
And then it kicks up because everybody has a conference game. So everybody puts a couple cupcakes in there.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see like a TCU Oklahoma State game like this early.
Georgia, Mississippi State was supposed to be a banger, and it wasn't. Did you see the opening play of the Mississippi State Georgia game? They ran a flea flicker on the first play of the game.
Beautiful.
I love that. I would never think to do that. That's a great call.
I was buying into Mississippi State. I was like, maybe they're fucking good. Maybe
That's what I mean. It's supposed to be a girthy game. And
Let's talk about next week. Auburn, Mississippi State next
got
week.
exposed.
Right? What do you think?
I'm taking Auburn in that game.
I'm taking Auburn too.
I think we're going to make Fitzgerald look like a first rounder, probably.
Everybody else is till yesterday.
I hope Petway's back and not nursing that injury. It's not. Maybe he's still got the hamstring stuff going on, but
Is he going to get redshirted? They're going to give him a medical because he qualifies for it.
I don't know, man. I hope he
see if they
doesn't go
need
out
him.
like that. But
Because I heard he's going to leave after this year regardless, but he should stay if he doesn't play this year.
some guys just like it was like the Peyton Barber from
Yeah.
Auburn who had to
Well,
go to
he
the
had a
Bucks,
reason.
and he left, and people were like, "Why the fuck did you leave?" When you read it, and he was
Family
like, "No,
reasons.
I gotta support my mom. She's
Yeah.
fucked up." So. It's fucking read the news
that
article.
was a
He
direct
didn't say
quote.
it.
He said,
It's a direct quote.
"My mom's fucked
Oh
up."
yeah, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure people knew he was paraphrasing.
yeah.
Peyton Barber didn't actually say that.
What?
That's hilarious.
Google it, guys. Fucking Google that
Google
shit.
it, guys.
But yeah,
awesome.
is it? It's at Mississippi State, right?
I think it's at Auburn actually. Mississippi State. Auburn's listed second.
What, you're talking about next week's game?
Yeah, next week's
yeah.
game.
We got to do
Next week's game is
Jordan,
at.
Jordan Hare Stadium.
Auburn.
Give me,
At
give me
Auburn.
the best
Yeah.
3 games next week, and then
Oh,
we
I'll
gotta
give them
go.
to you right now. You want to? Hey,
Yeah.
We got
Steve,
one.
hit it.
number 1, Georgia, Tennessee.
No. Okay.
Yes, because it's
No.
big SEC
No.
implications. I'll give you Auburn, Mississippi State.
Clemson, Virginia
And
Tech.
Clemson, Virginia Tech is 3.
Ooh, that'll be good. Is that a night game?
Which one? Clemson, Georgia Tech. That's at 8 o'clock ABC prime time. Clemson, Georgia Tech. I mean,
Yeah.
Clemson, Virginia Tech. Excuse me.
Yeah. Ooh, at Virginia Tech.
That's at Virginia Tech in
Ooh,
Blacksburg.
Virginia Tech is secretly the hardest place to play at night.
I think Oregon. Oh no, at night. Yeah.
When they used to have the run of Thursday night games for like
They did.
10 years.
They were always
They were
on.
always
and
fucking
they'd win.
crushed. Yeah.
And they'd win. Watch out though for 2 games. I just want to say, and I'm
All
not
right.
trying to say they're on upset alert, but Indiana gives people problems in the Big Ten. They give Ohio State problems. They're playing Penn State next week. You know it's at Penn State. That's a game I obviously will want to look out for. And also flying under the radar game, I do like Ole Miss Alabama. Every year it seems to be a pretty good battle. I'm not saying everyone know Alabama's number 1 and everyone thinks they're untouchable. I think the Ole Miss Alabama game is going to be actually a pretty good game. That's a night game, 9 o'clock on ESPN next week.
All right.
What about USC Washington State? Did we mention that one?
Yeah,
That'll be a good
that's
game.
that's the best game.
That's probably the game of the week.
Yeah.
We didn't even say in the top 3.
Mike Leach,
We
swing your
messed up.
sword, baby. Yeah.
I hope they win that game. I'd love to see Washington State win. I don't know. I'm a USC
I'm taking
hater.
Washington State.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah, I do have one more thing. We don't want to leave you guys. You guys
Don't
this
even
is
do
our-
it. I'm not doing. I got nothing, bro. I got nothing for you. Apparently,
He's being humble. He does have something. He was telling me about it before the
I-
podcast.
that's a lie.
This was a banger. It's good.
this is not a banger. Listen, this came to me late. I don't know where this came from. I think Chad said something about this, but everyone was wondering where was Law last week.
Where was Law?
Oh boy.
No, Chad, tell us where Law was last week.
Oh no, I forgot.
So we
got to
close out the show.
We gotta go. We missed it. Listen, we just ran out of time. We had one ready to go.
Oh man,
we had one ready
we'll
to
talk
go.
about it next week. We'll talk about it next week.
That's right. We'll make you as a tease. We'll call that a tease.
I had my baby's first birthday.
No, shh.
Yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Look.
Anyway, we're done. We got anything else before we do close?
No,
for
I'm
real?
good.
No, 3xopod.com. We'll post the episode there. Share it. We might put some Amazon affiliate links on there. So anything
will.
good we mention on the podcast, we can do it. We can make it if it's sold on Amazon, we can make a little ad.
Throw a plug up for some nice sweaters out
Send
here.
me that link. Send me that
will.
link, and I'll push it out.
Hillflint.com. Listen, every college football team that exists, they have a sweater for it, especially up in the Midwest where you need sweaters. We don't need them down here.
Nah.
Best quality,
Cut the
every
sleeves
team,
off.
all the colors. I like that idea.
Do a tank
too.
top.
They should do that.
Yeah.
Tank top sweater with
Just
your
look
jorts
like-
in the swamp.
Just look like Belushi.
But check them out. They're not a sponsor of this show. I just like Hill Flint. I just heard about them today. I'm checking them out.
You know who
They're
is a
good.
sponsor?
Grasshopper.
Is Grasshopper.
They are.
Get your business phone line. Don't be a jabroni.
That's right.
Get it. Go try grasshopper.com/3XO. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on iTunes. On Laughable, an app to tag comedians that do podcasts on it.
Yes.
What else are we on?
Give
We're
us a
on-
5-star on iTunes.
Give us
though.
5
5
stars.
stars.
If you don't
Yeah.
want to give us a 5-star, don't just give us a rating. We
Share
don't
it.
care.
Share this with a friend. Come along for the ride. Shout out to Tampa Pig Jig at the end of the
Like
October.
us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We're out.
And shout out to Brant Tobler for his book Free Roll.
I see it up front there.
If you
I like that.
if you're watching, you can see it. Ooh, double playback. Whoops.
playback.
And let me get the outro music.
See you next week.
Okay. We're done? Yeah. All right.
And that's all I can do.